Follow us and be the first to know. This is the Comrade Show.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Big greetings to you people, Edo people, and Nigerians across the world. My name is Comrade Lamte Oriahe, and this is the Comrade Show. If you were with us yesterday, we had a Comrade and Friends. That's talking of the Sunday tonic. We did announce that today we're going to be having a section with a young Benin scholar, one who's working very hard and doing a lot to put the United Kingdom of Great Benin and, of course, the history of the kingdom on the map. And a lot of people are becoming more knowledgeable about the exploits of Benin Kingdom and, of course, the great obas of the land and the people of Benin Kingdom. Recently, many Edo people came together and, of course, saw the need for us to have a day set aside to be called IDEN Day. And a lot of persons are puzzling. IDEN, what is the significance of IDEN? Who is IDEN in the history of the Benin Kingdom? Why must we celebrate IDEN Day? And because we need to give traction to this young man I'm bringing on to talk to us today, a huge scholar, a Benin historian, is going to be letting us know why we must set a proper day aside to have to celebrate Queen Eden. He's going to be telling us some historical facts and stories about Eden and the relevance of this whole arrangement. He's one of the proponents of this particular gesture. Many Edus have bought into it, and if you are an Edoma or you are a citizen of the United Kingdom of Great Benin, that is talking of everybody from Edo State, beyond Edo State to Delta State to part of River State, to everybody that has been called by the name Benin. That kingdom is quite expansive and all of that. It is therefore behoves on us that it then must bear some huge significance to you and I. To that extent, let me do us the honor to say yes, we are privileged to have in our midst our brother, our friend. That's talking of Imasuen Izoduwa. Imasuen, you are welcome to the program, my brother.
Domo, sir.
Uyoami Baba, we are glad to have you with us. Yes, my brother, it's all about Eden Day, Queen Eden. And you are a scholar, you know a lot about our history and this. People are asking, why is this significant for us to set a day aside to say we are having Queen Eden Day?
Well, that's a very simple question to answer. Olui, I like to stick with a real name so that we don't try to bring British words to define some of the words in Benin. An Oba is an Oba. It's not a king. Olui is an Olui. Doesn't mean queen.
Yeah.
All right. Olui then is different from Oluri. Oluri is a Yoruba word. Our own is Olu. There's no Aaron.
Yeah.
Olui then did what no man or what no woman has ever done in the history of Benin.
Wow.
And that it is significant for we to celebrate her. People will ask that what did she do that no other recorded Edo woman has been able to do? Well, without discrediting the heroism of other heroines like Idiani Yesige, like Emota, Nokawe Kyoba, like Erui, countless like Eriara, like Iyenugu, countless of all of these very powerful Edo women. But she did exactly what Jesus Christ did for the Christians. If it's not significant enough to us Edo people, then I don't know what is more significant than a woman who sacrificed her life for a future she had no stake in. I'm going to break it down in bits. The major reason Christians believe in the salvation of Jesus Christ was because Jesus Christ sacrificed his life for humanity. In this case, our humanity is like where we currently are, and Queen Eden, or Olu Eden more appropriately, did exactly the same. Now, she was allowed to be used as the ultimate sacrifice, will bring stability, that bring growth, and that will bring the continuation of the royal house and hit out to the entire Benin kingdom. And she allowed herself to be used as sacrifice. Now, that is the same thing that Jesus Christ did, and Jesus Christ has been celebrated and been talked about all over the world amongst the Christian folks. I see no why the Edo people who have someone who did a replica or who did the same thing of what Jesus Christ did be significant enough for us as a people to sacrifice our life. And meanwhile, while other powerful Edo women like IDEN, for example, who fought war for Benin Kingdom, but suffice to state that she fought war as a woman, the first woman and the only woman to ever have led the Benin troop to war and all of that. She did that because she had a stake in the future of Benin Kingdom, because she was doing that to protect the throne of her son, Obaisige. So inherently, she had a stake in the future of what the kingdom will be through her son, Obaisige. So she was inherently fighting for her son. All right. But in the case of IDEN, she had no child of her own. She never gave birth. So inherently, she wasn't fighting for anybody from her scion. All right. She wasn't fighting for any personal interest. She was fighting for the general well-being, for the general continuation of Naya Amiedo. So, to me, I have said it in all forums that I have spoken about her. She's the greatest Edo woman that has ever lived. Without discrediting every other woman like IDEN Iyesige, for me, this is a personal opinion. She's greater than IDEN Iyesige, and I've given the example why I established that. IDEN Iyesige needed to lead the Benin troop against the Ida people, the foraging Ida people, because she needed to protect the throne of her son. That was the only reason, or that is the primary reason she had to do what she did. But in the case of IDEN, she did not do this thing for the sake of anybody. She did it because she genuinely loved her husband and she genuinely loved her people. And that is why she had to sacrifice her life for. And that itself is too grave, is too significant, that today when we talk about great women of Benin Kingdom, we don't talk about her. We talk about Idia. Idia representation is everywhere all over the world. Then we talk about Emotan. Emotan has been deified, so she has inherently been recognized. All right. Then IDEN, if you understand the part of the burial rites in Benin, a lot of persons still do it. How do you do Emotan?
Yes.
How do you do it? Till date, I've seen a lot of people still go to the Emotan shrine. I am Nero away till date. For those who are looking for the fruit of womb, still goes there. Here, I beg and all of that is still imbued. She still be celebrated today. Then you now come to IDEN. IDEN, who did more? Requested for two things. She only requested for two things from her people.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget about me. And secondly, no living thing must step on our graveyard. These were the basic two things that she requested for. One of them was kept. Nobody stepped on her grave. All right. But the other one, wasn't kept. It was a promise broken by the Edo people. It shows we've been ungrateful to her for more than 300 years. And when some of us had that knowledge, when some of us had that revelation per se, not even knowledge, it's revelation, then we needed to start doing something about it. We mustn't forget that woman. She did what no other women did. She allowed her life to be taken away from her because she loved her people. And that is what we can't ask for. Though it has been quite minimal, because small, we're trying, it's gradually gathering a lot of momentum, a lot of people are spirit, and there promises to be bigger. And that's why, okay, let me just cut it short. So if those things are not significant enough, that's not what is significant enough.
No, I think we are getting somewhere. I will thank you, my brother, for so far. Now, you've a lot of people may still be like, okay, you made reference, some allusion to Jesus Christ. Everybody sort of know the story of Jesus Christ, more or less. What people may still not yet know is, I mean, you made reference to IDEN, because of the way Edo people and of course the artists, everybody is taking IDEN story. A lot of people today know the IDEN story and and her exploits. Could you just, in brief, give us a little synopsis of what is the story of this IDEN? What sacrifice did she make, and what led to that sacrifice? People may want to know so that they know exactly where this matter is coming from and why it must be taken seriously.
All right. Okay. I'll just go through. I'll be as concise as possible.
Very important.
All right. If there are other further questions, so I can be contacted directly, or they can do research. Our story is quite a popular one too.
It's popular,
all right. Obaiwakwe came into the throne as a very young Oba. At the time of that era of kingship in Benin, it was very unstable. So it was not father to son. We're doing a rotational kingship amongst the royal houses, right? Because if we go further back, during the time of Obaiwai had 3 sons. They all became the Obas of Benin. So the last of his son was Ozolwa. So Ozolwa gave birth to Obaisige. Obaisige gave birth to Obaurogboa. Obaurogboa gave birth to Oba Ehengbuda. Oba Ehengbuda gave birth to Oba Ohuan. But now, when he got to Oba Ohuan had no child of his own. Uhurena Laipo. He had no heir apparent. So, according to promulgated acts, should in case any Oba does not have a child of his own, it must be given to the next of kin. So what the kingmakers, the Uzama Niyon did, or Uzama Niyon did at that time, was to create a royal house of 5 from the original royal house and now make it into 5. And I said that it will be rotated amongst these 5 royal houses that were gotten from the one original royal house of Eweka, Oromi, and Oguso dynasty. All right, so it was not being rotated. So when it got to the 5th royal house, which was where Ewakwe came from, he did not get to Ewakwe because Ewakwe had a father. He got to a man called Akenuzama. Akenuzama was very old. So we had pleaded with the kingmakers that being that this thing is rotational and he wants the throne to spend some time, he doesn't have so much time to live on earth. So he wants the throne to spend more time in his family. All right. Instead, and I said that his first son should be considered for the throne, and his name was Idoba. All right, his name was Idoba. Now there was a prophecy 200 years earlier about Baiwai the first that said Anybody who bears Idoba should never be allowed to be an Oba of Benin, because a tragedy will befall whoever Princely's name is Idoba. So the chiefs, knowing that there is already over 200 years prophecy on that name, did all they can to change Idoba's name to another name. They changed it to Ehenega. Ehenega. But however, Obaiwai's prophecies, the prophecy he made, he came to pass. That Idova or Henega, when he became the Oba, he chose the title Ewakbe. He was a very young king, very unskilled. He wasn't prepared for the throne. He doesn't know the rudiments of becoming a king. So he made obvious mistakes. All right, the mistake, as soon as he ascended the throne as a young king, his mother died, Queen Oloi Ewebonoza. Oloi Ewebonoza, she died. Then a burial rite and part in old, which is customary to almost all African traditions. Human sacrifices were part of African traditions of the old. It's not only Benin people that did human sacrifice. The Igbos did, Yorubas did. Name all of these mega tribes in Africa who has a very strong traditional kingship. They all did human sacrifices. So part of the ritual rite for burying the queen or the Oloi is human sacrifice. Instead, Ewakbe, being in his youth age, all right, made several human sacrifices way above the normal numbers, all right. And in doing that, he made a mistake of sacrificing an Edo person. Adio says, let's say,
Oh wow.
So he made that abominable act. Because of that, the Benins needed to teach him a very hard lesson, even when they knew he was an unskilled Oba who really did not know the rudiments of what it requires to be an Oba because of the circumstances that was prevailing at the time that led to him. All right. Eventually, then I said that otherwise, the crime is capital. In the old Benin, he would have been stoned to death. Some Obas were stoned to death. Oba, father of Obaiwai the first, was stoned to death by the Benin because he murdered the asset. Ogiso Owodo was also stoned to death in Benin because he murdered a pregnant woman, the sin of Kirikovia. So but after Obahen was murdered, when Obaiwai the first now became the Oba, he made the chiefs swear an oath that never a time will the regicide be committed in Benin, that killing of an Oba will ever be committed in Benin. So that oath is reaffirmed or reenacted every year during Igwe. Abe Ehaime, Ugiroba, Abe Ehaime, they'll dance with the Eben, they'll hop, invite it, and you to touch the ground. Is to reenact that we will never murder any Oba anymore. The oath they took with Obaiwai the first. So it's been reenacted every year. If not because of that ground, Obaiwakwe would have also been stoned to death by the Benin people. So because there was already an agreement that never would that ever happen again, instead, what the Benin chiefs needed to divulge another formula that is even more grave. That is even more grave than murdering an Oba. Instead, if you have any of your family, you have any of your children there in the palace, withdraw everything. Let us show him that without the people, he's nothing. So they would put every single body from the palace. He was not left alone to himself. To fend for himself, to repair the thatched linking roof. It was that bad. The situation became bad that it was recorded that Obaiwakwe was going to kill Giswag by the market to go and trade. Oya here tomatoes. so that he can be able to feed for himself. So it was that bad. He went through hell. All right, he went through hell. But in all of that, when he felt that Edo is no longer treating him well, he needed to go to his maternal village, Oluwe Webonaza's village, which was called Ikok. Getting to Ikokwa, he even met more harsh punishment than the one he received from his people back in Edo. Then he placed the corpse. Everybody knows the corpse that was placed on Ikokwa.
Yes. Yes.
And eventually he returned back to Benin. Then he still met the same situation. So, but when he got back to Benin, to his palace, he remembered, he discovered that there was still someone living in the palace. That person was Oloy IDEN. Every single person had vacated except her. And he asked her, I don't have money to take care of you. I don't have anything. I only try to manage. And he was like, you are my husband. I can't leave you. We are in this situation together and we are going to find solution to it. All right, since the situation is already too bad, why can't we apprehend or go to see a native doctor? Probably there can be solution.
Yes.
I advise they went to see a native doctor. I think historians remember that they crossed Obia River. So the native doctor was from Obia side of present day Edo South.
Odorima wani. My brother.
So they eventually went there. He was able to see Obonio, who now told them all the ritual rites that they must perform. But actually, the final ritual rite will require a human sacrifice. They have series of rituals, Nana Zese, Nana Zorue, that will take about 14 days. But the 14th day will require a blood of a human being. Without Amawoni, the ritual done in the first 13 days will not be effective. It requires a blood of a human to activate every of those preceding rituals.
Yeah.
That was the ultimate sacrifice. So then I got to me. The husband of Baiwakwe was a bit confused on what to do. There were Benin people all over everywhere. There are still people hovering around the palace, children, wife, husband. Now, but the debacle is this: he can no longer use any of these Edo people because the problem that he's facing was because he used these people.
Yes.
Yeah, the Benins are going to kill him.
Yeah.
So, using a human sacrifice from any of these other Edo population that was surrounding him was a no-no for him. So the husband, the wife, Olu did advise him to let's start the process. Getting first day, second day, they were doing all of the burn, and then he now got to the 14th day. The husband now was not having a debacle. That how do I get a human sacrifice to do this thing? Then Indiana told him that he wanted him to go through the first 13 days, but and tell him that she's ready, that she could be used for that sacrifice, so that so that the Benin people can come back to serve their Oba, as it was when he inherited the throne from his forefathers. He reluctantly wanted to do that, but Oluiden was very convincing and very persistent that he doesn't have anything to be afraid of. He doesn't have anything to fear. It is sacrifice as his wife for him and for Edo people. So with all of that, the Obonio told him that he shouldn't be killed with cutlass and all of that. She has to be buried alive. All right. So a grave was dug beside Oba Market. All right. She has to lay down. Her head was facing the side of the palace. She has to lay down. Her head was facing the side of the palace, and Obaiwakbe keep covering the grave from her leg towards her head. and her head was completely covered with sand. So she died by asphyxiation, lack of oxygen. So until the grave was buried fully. While that exercise was going on, he did request for two things from the Edo people.
Yeah.
Never will the Edo people forget a deed for them,
Her sacrifice.
and that nobody, no living thing, whether human being, no living thing or animals, any living thing still stepping on our graveside must be killed. Those are the two things he ever requested for. So eventually she was buried, and a few days later, the Benin people started, they came to their senses that they have not treated Oba rightly. They started to come back to the palace to show their interest, to plead, and
Pledge,
for the Oba to
pledge their
recognize that,
loyalty.
yeah, to plead their loyalty. And in a few days or a few weeks, the palace was filled to the brim with all the wives, all other wives, including the first wife who gave birth to the next Oba, who fled. They all returned back. Eden was not even among the first five or first 10 wives of the Oba. She was down below in the hierarchy. All right, they all came back to the palace and all of that. It has never been recorded that an Oba ever cried, but Obaewakbe cried. I don't have the recording here, otherwise I would have been able to read it out. Or if I know how to sing very well in Benin, he cried. He actually cried. Because tears of joy and tears of sorrow. All right. He's happy that Edo Degbe did him, but the person who made it happen is nowhere to be found. So eventually, that was the story, the short version of the story of how God led to
You
for
know,
Edo people.
it makes a whole lot of sense. For those who may have followed from the very beginning, when you said Jesus paid the ultimate sacrifice, it then did say we can get all that. Now you are saying that Obaewape cried. It's significant because when you look at it in the Bible perspective, Jesus wept at some point. Jesus weeping is significant. And so at the end of the day, you've been able to establish the importance of Eden Day. Now, looking at this, now one of the requests of Queen Eden or Eloi Eden, is it Eloi or Oloi?
Oloi.
Oloi Eden. One of the requests of Oloi Eden is nobody should, let my grave remain sacred, which is still is till today. At least we can attest to that, and I should never be forgotten. Now, given this, arrangement to say we must set a day aside to celebrate Queen Eden, what day have we set aside that we are talking about right now, and
Oh,
why?
well,
And why is that day chosen?
okay. All right. Well, I've had a fair criticism on the date, but I'll try to let them know that sometimes you just don't choose dates. If history could still remember, because I'm an historian, and try to align things with history. If history could still be able to remember the day she was born or the day she was buried, we would align with that day. But history could not remember. But meanwhile, Oloi is queen, or that's what it's singular. Eloi is plural when you're referring
Yes,
to more than one Oloi is Eloi.
yes, yes.
Um, she hails this Eden. She hails from Oka. Oka, there are about 9 Oka, but the particular one that she hails from is Okanio, Oka one, Okanio. That's where she hails from.
Yeah.
Well, how did this thing came about? This thing came about 5 years ago. While I was in my city room, I can still remember I was still staying at Ubioho. It was February 14. I woke up in the morning as a boarding historian, and I heard people saying Happy Valentine's Day and all of that. Then I don't know who the hell Valentine is. I don't know what sacrifices Valentine has done. Whether Valentine, one of those colonial idealism, or one of those European whatever European person. I'm not. I'm not a Briton. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not a European person. So why should me as an Edo man be celebrating a European ideology? All right. And moreover, they are saying that Valentine died for love and all of that. And I was like, our own Olu then did what she did was fantastic, was way greater. It's likened to what Jesus Christ did, not to what Valentine did for dying for one girl and all of that. This woman died for a whole empire as it was at that time of history. Then why would I be celebrating Valentine? Why can't we replace European idealism in our society by using those who genuinely have the history that we are proud of to replace it? Just like what the Roman Catholics did with December 25 by one of the gods, European goddess that was being served. Obviously, Jesus Christ was quoted to have been born around around October, September, October, and not in December. But they needed to use a superior being to replace whatever idolatry practice that the Europeans were practicing at that time of December 25 and all of that. And then we now believe that Jesus Christ was even born that time, which is not true. All right. It's the same idea that I have. We have to replace some of these European idealism amongst ourselves by genuinely replacing them with those who really did things that we can relate with, something that is not abstract, something that is real, something that is concrete. And that's why I chose February 14th, and that a day set aside for we to celebrate this woman, so that a time comes we are consistent enough. Why the other world or other people are celebrating a European ideology in Africa, Edo people will be seen celebrating their own ideology, which is part of which is Oloide. So February 14th has been a day we've been celebrating all those days for the past 4 years now, and this will be the 5th year, and we are happy that this year promises to be even bigger, because we're having like your program where we can reach out to even larger Edo communities all over in Europe, in overseas, for them to also galvanize and understand that this woman, remember her.
Yeah.
And suffice to say, dates can change. We do some of these things. It's not as if His Royal Majesty has said that that day correspond with the calendar. We understand that the time will come. He himself is already getting interested in it. When he now feels that okay, February 14th is not too good, or another day can choose another day. But meanwhile, the date doesn't really matter. So what matters is that we really celebrate women annually every year, so that the world will come to hear about her story, so that with that request that she made, the dying request that she made of herself, we can be able to ensure that it comes true or it comes to pass. And that's exactly what we're standing for.
You look, Mr. Imasuen, I must publicly, thank you, express gratitude to you for all you do. The dates you have chosen, February 14th, is symbolic, and I like the symbolism in it. And the story itself, it's one that brings us back home. Because why would I wake up in the morning of February 14th and I begin to talk of Happy Valentine's Day, talk about Valentine. I don't know Valentine. I don't even know the history. And the story I've heard about Valentine, if it is true or not, I don't really know. But even if it's true or it's not, whatever it is, I have my own, story. I have my own history. And I think the symbolism in all of this is very important. However, I want to ask my brother, for every celebration in Benin, for instance, there are rites, there are things to be done. What have we mapped out as part of ways we can actually celebrate IDEN Day? Some of those things that people can do to show that yes, they are actually marking the day. Do we have anything in place?
Well, for now, we're trying to. It's more of like for us for now. It's not really a celebration per se. It's more of like an awareness that this woman, she has to be celebrated. We feel that what 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 does Eden represent? It represents sacrifice. It represents love,
Love, yeah.
and that's how that day should be all about. We should love ourselves. Oh, I used to speak about. I used to hear of a festival, which was yeah, Ipokman, the Ipokman that people now call Ipokman. Ipokman, it's usually in the old was a guild. They had a festival that they anchored. That Ipokman festival ni our level.
Mm.
They take a bit in our ege our use 20 ege. I don't more moto no lize no dumema. When I were nether. Don't take it to the
Are
central
you
spot.
aware?
Uh-huh. To take it to the central spot. And ya do ahewa, awe manime. You understand? That is love. That
Yes.
love itself.
Mm.
Instead of that day should be set out like where we give gift, we show love, we appreciate people. Those who have money can dash people money. Like everybody should look forward to that day to give what they have to the poor people, to show love to their neighbor, to show body around there. That is what Eden represents
Yeah.
as a person. All right, and that is what her day should be all about. Yeah, there should be fun fair and all that of the thing, but the ultimate goal for her day is for we to show love to one another as an adult person, as child, adult sons and daughters. And for this year, all right, we're going to do quite a lot of awareness. We're going to start the procession right from Okanio. All right, and so next week we're going to be going to our hometown, Okanio. Want to meet with all the men and the women and the sons and daughters, so that we tell them that this is about her. This is one of your daughter. We know that we are doing, but on what
Mm. Okay, yeah.
we're going down to our roots. They have to be well represented. There are T-shirts already available. Some people can buy. Some people can buy and dash for other
Mm.
people to wear. And then some we are making available for free. All right, so that everybody can be uniform. And then we're going to start the procession right from our hometown for the Owojonwere or Okamio.
Yeah.
So we're going to move from Oka, all right, with all of the awareness, with all of vehicles and all of that, down to our graveyard, all right, and to our graveyard to sort of tell her that we remember her, and then after which maybe we can go and rest and eat and celebrate
Fun fair, yes.
compare sort of it.
Yeah.
So these are just about the few arrangements that we have
Yeah.
in for
In
this
place.
February. We hope
Okay.
that by the time the awareness increases, we're going to push for a public holiday to be set aside every year for her through Edo State House of Assembly and all of that. So I know that it is all about us. If we can be able to start giving the right awareness to this thing, a lot of our elites will begin to take notes and they begin to see the significance and relevance of her
Yes.
to Edo State. And laws and policies will now be created around her to actually give her annually what she truly really deserves. And
Yeah.
that's about it.
Brother, my brother Imasuen Izoduwa, thank you so very much. I think this is a huge movement, and I want to say, I asked that question just now. Technically, what have we set aside? I want to add this. You've actually said what is in my mind, what's also on my mind to say in response. But I want to add this. She made two requests, and one of them was keep my grave clean and sacred, okay, and never forget my sacrifice. And that sacrifice was a sacrifice of love,
Yeah.
basically, the ultimate sacrifice, of love, because one cares about his own place. So I think that amongst every other thing that we should do, we should probably start a proper campaign of Edo people, particularly in Edo State, keeping the Edo environment clean on that day as a
Okay.
mark, of respecting that our grave site. Keep it clean and sacred. So let that day be a day of sacrifice that people will truly mark Eden Day, turn that day into a proper environmental sanitation day while we are doing all that we do, we are keeping the environment clean because the death of Eden signifies, sanity, signifies cleanliness, signifies sacredness, and all of us. I think we can build all that into it so that it can really truly be significant. And I want to say this to the Edo public, the people who are listening. I want to appeal. It's not by force, but our own must become dear to us, and this is dear to us. For those of us who wake up in the morning, happy Valentine, Facebook everywhere, social media, happy Valentine everywhere. My people, I want to enjoin you, dig more into this history, call on Izoduwa anytime you want to know more and all of that, or get the history from wherever you want to know. Appreciate his history. On the 14th of October, wake up in the morning and begin to tell everybody happy Eden Day. Happy Oloi Eden Day, Happy Queen Eden Day. You understand what I'm saying now? Let us plaster everywhere with that. Let's make this global. It's important. Somebody is calling in. Let's take call. I'm sure it's calling because of this. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, brother.
I greet you, sir. What is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Christopher Jose. I'm calling from France.
Go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
First of all, I want to thank you for your show, for everything you've been doing, and most especially our brother Imasuen Izoduwa. I've been following him on Facebook. I mean, his knowledge about the Edo culture is something that is very, very, very huge. I want to thank you especially. I wish I'm in Benin. This is something I wish to be part of. You know, it's just so wonderful that we are seeing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I can't thank you both enough, really. You are really, this is so wonderful. You understand me? Please, because what she did, but a lot of people did not know. I know a little bit of it. A lot of, even what he has been teaching online is something even that I've never known, that I'm beginning to know, I'm beginning to be aware of.
Yeah.
So, his teaching is just so educative. I can't really thank him enough. I was even thinking anytime I come home, I will create time to see him.
Yes.
So, please, because what he did, if I think what he did to the palace, that love she showed, maybe by now we wouldn't be having king anymore.
Yes.
If not what she did.
What's it about?
So these are important things we should be part of. It's a great movement.
What's it about? So, well, that's a caller from France. You can call in. We have displayed. I will display the number there. Our number. People can call in. The number is displayed on the screen. For those who want to call, they can call in. We've been talking with our brother Imasuen Izoduwa, and who has been giving us, some very important information, history of Eden, and the reason why Eden Day is significant. Remember, the day is going to be on the 14th of February, the day that many of us previously talk about Saint Valentine. But right now, for us to celebrate our own, we are having Queen Eden Day on the 14th, and and for those who are in Benin, you can reach us or you reach Mr. Izoduwa directly to be part of the procession. There's going to be a procession in the Edo State on that day, a march to the village of Queen Oloi Eden, and of course to historic sites in Benin, and down to our grave site and all of that. And of course, we've been able to establish through Izoduwa that that day is a day of sacrifice, a day where people should show love. We have a lot of people in Edo State who are needy. We can set that day aside to show love to these people, to show care and concern as a way of marking Queen Eden Day. I have equally added that we can add to set that day aside to make a door clean, because this woman instructed that her grave must be kept clean at all times and it must be kept sacred. Nothing should step on it and all of that. So that day could be a day too that we keep our environment clean, show love, everywhere. You understand what I'm saying now? And so that day itself will be unique. We know that, yes, somebody that is being remembered, pay the ultimate sacrifice for the Edo race, to maintain, her consistency, as it were. And who knows what that sacrifice has done. I can tell you that that sacrifice has not only, brought Edo together, but it has helped to preserve the Edo race. Hence, we are talking about this today. Because life is made of series of moments. That moment in history, in time, was significant. If that moment wasn't there, probably this moment would not be here. This is why every Edo person must take it as a matter of urgent importance to be part of this process. My brother Izoduwa, I don't want to take too much of your time. Okay, let's take another caller. I think we've lost the call. Iyaka Abok Momo, what other thing do you want to add to this discourse that people need to know? Because we're going to take this thing from here, and I want to tell you too, from our own stable, I will look for somebody in Edo State that will contact you, that will join the procession. We would like to cover the procession as well on the Comrade Show and be part of it and make it as grandiose as can possibly be, and all of that. So what other information would you like to add to this that people need to know as far as IDEN Day is concerned? Aswan.
Emi Moboro, other down, wherever we are, if you can be able to produce a T-shirt of ours, this is not about a group, although my group championed it, Association of Great Benin Descendants. But like I said, this is about our history. It has nothing to, it's not tied down to any person, or it's not tied down to any group. So everybody can run with the idea. Wherever we are, if you want to get a T-shirt from us, you can get a T-shirt from us, or you people can produce a T-shirt on your own overseas, produce it, wear it. People are going to ask questions about who is this woman, and from there we can be able to in our wherever all of those are, let us observe that day. It doesn't really matter. You have to be here in Benin Kingdom, all right? I'm sure Valentine's is done all over the world, not only where the Valentine came from.
Yes.
All over the world, and that's the same we need to do. Let's run. We are Benin people. We are unique. We have a lot of our history we need to run with. All of our, if we start celebrating all of our heroes and all of our heroines, we might not even have time as a people to be celebrating International Day or public whatever day, because we have so much of our people who has done so much for us, for our history, that we need to remember. And she is one of the very persons that we need to remember. For me, it's for everybody, and every Edo person should key into it, and lastly, IDEN means love.
It does.
All right? IDEN means sacrifice, it means love. So I don't know why Benin's are not naming their children IDEN. We need to start naming our children
after our heroes, yeah.
After our heroes and heroines. I don't understand why people are not naming their children IDEN. Is still why people are not naming their children Idia.
And we have Benis who have named their children Valentine because of Saint Valentine. And all that.
Yeah, and it's very funny.
It is.
But any Benin person shouldn't name their children a Motan. No, a Motan is not a name. It's derived from maybe.
We are not advising that. I have the name Mesha. It is symbolic. I go on the person.
But India and all of that, they are fantastic names. Absolutely. That we need to start thinking of naming our children, our female children.
Just to add, while you are still here, my brother, this is to Edo associations. To be very honest, we have Edo associations across different parts of this world. I was part of some in Spain, in Germany. We have quite a number of them in the UK as well. My experience with Edo associations is that a lot of the time, I'm saying this generally, people that belong to associations who are listening right now will listen later. At some point in a way, for the Edo associations across the world, at some point in a way, the people don't know what to do. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. Now, apart from maybe celebrating end of year party or attending a member's birthday party or something like that. I think that a day like when IDEN Day is what associations, Edo, those state associations can key into. Whether you are Isha Association, you are Bini, you are what's it called from a donut, they know reacting or as associations, we can actually make that day special. You are in Portsmouth, you are in London, you are in wherever you are, whether in the UK or in Spain, Vicenza, in Italy, wherever. We can come together and say we are celebrating Queen Eden Day. Take the necessary, what's it called, permission from the authorities and all of that. Make that day big. Do something that they let the world know what you are doing, so that somebody was asking, is it only going to be celebrated in Benin? Okay, I know we are just starting, but we can actually make the celebration global. Wherever we are as Edo people, Edo State people, we celebrate it like right there, make some noise about it right there. And of course, it's bound to grow from there. I think that this is something that Edo associations across the world can actually key into and equally make it as grand as possible. Well, on that note, my brother, Imasuen Izoduwa, I want to say thank you very much for your time. Emiamia, we are still going to be calling on you on several other issues where we need clarity. We're always going to be
Okay.
making our time. And I want to publicly ask that may God Almighty and Etienne cow stand with you. You are a young man. May God grant you longevity. You need to be preserved long, long, long for Edo people. Usabo Adebayo, my
Domo,
brother, you do.
domo,
You are
sir.
about.
No one.
So, Edo people across the world, it's the Comrade Show. We've been having a section with our brother Imasuen Izoduwa. Of course, he's told us the story of Eden Okboho, Oloi Eden, and of course, all that his own organization has put together. A very responsible and responsive Benin association to ensure that we keep on marking Eden Day. Of course, right now on the interim, February 14th has been chosen because it's symbolic. February 14th, we normally come around and talk about St. Valentine, but that day we want to talk about Queen Eden, and as atomized, that day is a day of love, sacrifice for love, and love entails a lot, not just kissing and kissing alone or going to the other room. Love equally involves taking care of the needy, providing support for our society, and all of that. And looking at the story, and of course, the demands made by Eden, the request made by Eden that her grave should be kept clean and sacred, and that she should not be forgotten. Uh, we equally added that we probably should equally use that day to mark a day of proper environmental sanitation. Keep a door clean for Eden's sake, because it was part of what she represented. When the palace was plagued, or by where Ewakbe was deserted, the palace was dirty. He could not do the job. Everybody fled. Everybody ran away from him. Queen Eden was the person who stayed back to keep the palace clean, to ensure that at least there's some semblance of life in the palace. So apart from dying, paying the huge ultimate sacrifice, for Edo to return, okay, she symbolized, love. She symbolized cleanliness, and this must be part of what you must be part of this Eden Day. I will not wake up on February 14th to say Happy St. Valentine to anybody. It's going to be Happy Oloi Eden Day or Happy Queen Eden's Day. So, Edo people and Nigerians across the world, all we are trying to do is to push our narrative, but nobody's going to do it for us. Everywhere, all around our kingdom, the narratives of other people is choking us to the extent that we are forgetting who we are. We no longer know where we're from. If you do Mahin, if you do a Mahin, we must not let our own die, because our own is as valid and as important as any other one we may hold dear. On that note, my people, it's been the Comrade Show. My name is Comrade Lamtek Mawosa Oriahi. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be part of this. Join us to be part of it. As a matter of fact, when I leave this studio right now, I'm going to speak with my team. We probably want to produce our own t-shirts. If you want to join us to make this day grandeur, reach out to us. Let us reason together, and let us start it from here. Edo has to be great, or we must be part of the process and part of the action. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to share this broadcast. It's been a Comrade Show. My name is Comrade Show. I'll see you again. Bye for now.
Comrade Show. Wait. Comrade Lamte Oriake. This is